All right, let's get right into it. We've all been there, right? You spend weeks, maybe even months, training an AI assistant. You've got this great context, it just gets you. And then, boom, a new, shinier, smarter tool comes out. But the thought of starting all over again from scratch, it's just exhausting. Well, it looks like Google is tackling that exact problem with Gemini's new app switching tools. So today, we're going to break down how you can move your AI without it, losing its mind. So, does this feel a little too real? You get excited about a new AI, you feed it a prompt for a project you've been working on for ages, and it just gives you this blank stare. Digitally speaking, of course. It has absolutely no idea what you're talking about. It's like your trusted sidekick suddenly got a bad case of amnesia. And honestly, it's one of the most frustrating things in the AI world today. And this right here is the heart of the problem. All of that incredibly valuable context, the history, your preferences, all the little details of your projects, it's basically trapped inside one app. So when you switch, you lose all that momentum. You have to start over, re-explaining everything, digging up old prompts. It's like hiring a new employee and having to onboard them from square one. It's just a massive waste of your time. But what if you could actually move past all that friction and just get into a state of flow? Well, that's exactly the promise behind Gemini's new solution. So say hello to Gemini's app switching tools. The whole idea behind them is actually really simple, but it's also kind of revolutionary. They're built to migrate your most important chats and contexts from other AI apps right into Gemini. The goal here is simple, to make sure you never ever have to start a big project from absolute zero again. Okay, so how does this magic actually work? How can your new AI possibly remember what your old one knew? Let's take a look under the hood at how this context and memory migration really happens. The whole thing really hinges on this one key idea, AI context retention. All that really means is the AI's ability to remember what you've talked about before and then use that info to give you way smarter, more relevant answers down the road. Without this, every single chat you have is like introducing yourself for the very first time. Now, this is where it gets really cool, because Gemini's tools aren't just one thing, they're two. On the one hand, you've got chat history import. Think of this like a giant searchable archive. It just pulls in the raw text of your old chats so you can look things up. But then you've got memory import, and this is the real game changer. It doesn't just store the text, it actively pulls out the key facts and your preferences to shape future conversations. It's less like an archive and way more like giving your new AI your old AI's brain. And they've made the process itself super straightforward. First, you export your data from whatever app you're using now. Then you connect that account to Gemini. And then you get to choose. Do you want just the simple history archive, the active memory, or hey, why not both? You do a quick check to make sure everything looks right, and you are good to go, ready to pick up right where you left off. So that's the how it all works. But what about the why? Why does this even matter? Let's talk about the real-world payoff this has for your actual day-to-day productivity. Now, this quote here, even though it's hypothetical, just nails the value proposition. I mean, imagine you're a student deep in a thesis. Being able to migrate your entire research thread in a few minutes instead of burning a whole weekend re-explaining months of complex work to a new AI, that's a huge win. It's all about keeping your momentum going. And that brings us to the key gains right here. We're talking about a massive cut in setup time, workflows that are just so much smoother, and an end to that tedious copy-pasting we all hate. You can pick up a project you haven't touched in months and get back up to speed almost instantly. And maybe the biggest thing, it gives you the confidence to actually try new tools without that fear of losing all your progress. And the numbers really drive the point home. People are seeing a potential 75% reduction in the time it takes to get a new AI up to speed on a project they're already working on. I mean, think about that. When you translate that into hours, or even days saved over a year, the value here becomes crystal clear. Of course, anytime you're talking about moving your personal data around, some really important questions about privacy and security are going to pop up. So let's get into that and cover a few things you should know before you think about making the switch. And this is almost always the first question on everyone's mind, right? You're about to import what could be sensitive conversations, private project details, your personal preferences. Is that data going to be safe? So here's the bottom line. Your imported data is handled under Google's standard privacy policy. But, and this is the important part, you don't lose control. You have the power to go in, see everything that's been imported, and delete both the history and the active memory whenever you feel like it. You are still in the driver's seat. So who is this really for? Well, as you can see, the list is pretty long. It's for students with those deep research projects, professionals trying to move complex work from one place to another, content creators who want to bring their ideas with them. But honestly, that last point is the big one. It's for anyone who's just sick and tired of feeling locked into one single AI ecosystem. And that whole idea of lock-in is actually the perfect way to zoom out for our final section. Let's look at the future of AI portability, because what we're seeing here is about so much more than just one cool feature. This timeline really tells the story, doesn't it? Just a couple years ago, the race was all about who had the best, most human-like chat. Then the big thing was memory. Now, as we all invest more and more of our work and ideas into these platforms, the pain of being trapped is becoming a huge concern. The expectation is changing fast. We want the freedom to move. So the big takeaway here is that the whole playing field for AI is shifting. It's not enough anymore to just be the smartest AI. The new frontier is all about being the most portable, the most flexible, the one that respects your time and your work the most. It's a really fundamental shift from just raw power to empowering the user. And that leaves us with this final question to chew on. As tools like these become the norm, what's really going to define the next wave of AI? Will companies just compete on how good their models are, knowing we can switch between them freely? Or is it going to become a big strategic battle, where some companies embrace portability while others double down on building up their walls? It's a fascinating question about where all of this is headed next.